Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. My name is Murat Egan, and I'm here to tell you very briefly about the course I will be teaching very happily and excitedly this upcoming semester through the Continuing Education Department of CU Boulder. The class I teach is formally called E4774, and it is topics in economic history, development, and political economy. That's an all-encompassing label that basically focuses on a strand of research that I've been doing in the last 15 or so years. And let me briefly tell you what the course is about, how it's organized, and hopefully I will see you during the sessions, okay? So this is a completely asynchronous, self-contained online course, and it is organized around modules with a heavy emphasis on basically the literature as covered by the articles that we discuss in the class, collectively with discussion posts with your peers and myself, and then 4 books at the tail end of the course, which again, we read parts of, and then we discuss and distill. The class, broadly speaking, is about economic development through a historical lens. And when you basically approach the topic in such a way, at least when the economists do, one of the most salient striking facts is that given long human history, prosperity, the roots, the seeds of economic prosperity, material well-being, is basically a Western phenomenon that has a very recent history. Okay, the classic tale, of course, here is the Industrial Revolution that began, in the late 18th century by more generous accounts. But in the grand scheme of human history, right, that's just 250 years ago. And that is nothing, okay? When we consider long human history, the fact that settled agriculture began, about 10,000 years ago in the Middle East, right? That is just the blink of an eye. So the course is designed to focus on this and try to distill various dimensions of that development, right? For example, why is the world very unequal today still in terms of across countries and per capita standards of living, material well-being? Why are some countries basically progressing well and growing steadily in a sustained way, and some others are lagging, right? These are the classic economic development questions that we try to address in this course, but from a historical long-term perspective, okay? So at the end, let me tell you the punchline of this course so that, if that doesn't appeal to you, you may maybe skip the course. If it does, dive straight in, as I hope you would do, okay? The punchline that we're gonna end up with is that the seeds of this economic prosperity, sustained economic progress, material progress, is really due to the Enlightenment, European Enlightenment, right? That took hold in Britain in the 18th century, right? And this was, in the words of the great economic historian that we study in this course, Joel Mokyr, due to a cultural shift in at least some parts of the European establishment, right? And that involved basically elevating scientific thinking, rational thought, and critical thinking as the main driver of human inquisition, right? A lot of the research, a lot of the scientific discoveries, the inventions, the classic one being the steam engine, right? Which is the epitome of the poster child of the British Industrial Revolution, right? Those all came on the back of a cultural shift in Europe that allowed individuals, most of them being men, right, at that time, who now began to question the established facts, right? And we study in this course how that cultural change came about, right? And we dig deeper in European history and in part Middle East history as well. to find the roots of that cultural transformation, right? And inevitably, at least from my perspective, given my research in the last 15 years, this ends up, delving into a field called economics of religion, because a lot of the cultural foundations in European and Middle Eastern history, at least as far as the 18th, 19th, 17th centuries are concerned, inevitably have some links to the religion marketplace at that time. Okay, so that's what we're going to do in this class. That's the rough punchline that we're going to conclude with. It's a very self-contained course that I've been teaching for decades now. And due to the pandemic, actually, I'm proud to say it's become a very self-contained and I think a well-organized, clear online course that I think most students enjoy taking if you're interested in these topics. So let me share the syllabus and the outline and have you visit the course webpage to share a little bit more information on this. So here's the Canvas course, which, at the time of the taping of this lecture hasn't been published yet, but will be in due course. This is your landing page. And as a student, you will have these tabs that you're probably used to, where I will make weekly announcements, sometimes more than once, where I will tell you about the upcoming assignments and the things that are due, give you some pointers. You have the access to the syllabus and the detailed course outline that I will talk about next. And the course is organized around weekly modules that cover your assignments and things to do. Of course, you can access things like the CU Boulder Library and your grades at any point in time, okay? So the course is organized in weekly modules. Roughly speaking, we have about 17 modules, 2 of which cover the 2 exams for this course, one being the midterm and the other one final. But the other ones are really weekly modules that are centered around my videotape lectures. All of these lectures have embedded video quizzes in them, and that's part of your grade. Okay, if you've taken this kind of class before, I lecture on a given topic that relates to that week, and the video is halted about 10 times, almost always 10 times, for 10 questions that pop up. Some of them are true, false, some of them are multiple choice, and it's a question about the lecture that you've just listened to. You answer the question, you make sure you hit select, and then the video continues. At the end of the video lecture, you get a grade for that quiz out of 100, and you're allowed to take it twice, okay? This is part of the main part of the course. So you will see here, for example, when you start the course, there's going to be an introduction, which will be updated for the relevant semester. The last one I just taught was summer 2021. And in fact, this lecture will be accessible to you here as well, where I welcome you to the class, tell you about the lay of the land, walk through the syllabus, and walk through the assignments, okay? And then the bona fide class starts with module 1, where we talk about facts to be studied, okay? Each of these modules will give you an overview of what that module covers, okay, and what the relevant assignment, what the learning objectives are, what is covered, and what the required readings are, and what are the assignments that are due. Okay, so for example, for module 1, all you need to do during that week is to watch the lecture video and take the in-video quiz embedded in it, and that's your assignment, okay? And as you go forward in the class, the assignments are going to be a little bit more involved. Right now, and every week a new assignment is opened up for you, right? I don't like giving you access to everything because students get overwhelmed and the organization gets muddled up a little bit. So every week, Monday, first minute of Monday, the new module for that week will open up so that you can look at the overview, look at the assignments, and listen to the lecture, take your in-video quiz. Okay, this is the way the whole class is organized. And with that, let me tell you a little bit about the assignments and the organization of the class. And I think that should wrap it up in terms of prep. Okay, so on your landing page here, you see there's a link that says syllabus and schedule. And through this link, you will see on the right panel here, everything that your grade will be based on. And here in the main course summary of all of the assignments that are coming up due, okay? So Without further ado, let's jump right in and talk about how this class is organized, what are the key required readings, and the graded assignments, okay? So first things first, my name is Murat İlgün. I'm a professor of economics at CU Boulder. I've been here for over 21 years now. My main fields of interest, although I do a lot of broad economic research, can be labeled under economic development, economic history, and labor economics, okay? And I basically have been teaching this course as well as many other intro and intermediate classes here at CU and elsewhere, such as Brown and Georgetown and Sabancı University in Turkey. So my office hours are Tuesdays, 12:30 to 2, using this Zoom link. If you can't make that, you can always hit me up with an email, and I'm always responsive fairly quickly, and we'll set up a time that suits you, okay? That's the way to reach me. Right now, we're talking about the fall 2021 semester, where technically for the continuing education department, it starts on August 31st. And I have a tentative end date of December 10, although I think the final is due on December 5. Okay, so course description here that you can read as I briefly described to you. The course is about economic development from a historical lens. And as a result, we will talk a lot about the main drivers of economic development in the long run. And that discussion will take us to the role of institutions versus culture. And then we culminate the course with a lot of discussion on economics of culture. Now, there are lots of articles that are part of our required readings, but those are provided to you in the Canvas course page, okay? However, at the tail end of this course, for the last, about 5 modules, we cover 4 books that are listed here. These are required readings, and we don't cover these books fully. I will tell you which chapters we cover. We cover certain selected chapters, most of them in some of the books, and about half of them in the larger books. And this is part of our main discussion in terms of viewing economic development from a historical and political economy lens. I won't harp on it, but here you have the books listed. They're available in the bookstore for you to buy, available on many online booksellers too. I don't mind if you buy an older version, a used copy, doesn't matter at all, okay? More will be said about that during the progression of the course. Now, here's how you're graded in this class. As I told you, every week involves a lecture video that you watch. This is a completely asynchronous class. So you can watch those videos once they become available to you all the way up to the point when they're due, which gives you about a week for each of the assignments. Okay, each lecture is about an hour and a half long. And the lecture videos have embedded quizzes in them that you complete as you go through with the lecture. These quizzes make up 10% of your class grade, okay? Then we have 2 problem sets in the early part of the course, which covers a main workhorse theory of economic growth and development, which if you've taken intermediate macro, you've studied, it's often called the neoclassical growth model or the solo growth model. I cover this extensively and in very much detail in 3 modules. And there are 2 problem sets that are associated with that are due that week, besides the lecture video that you always complete weekly, okay? So these problem sets are worth another 10% of your grade. Then we have a midterm about halfway through the course, which you will take around mid-October. That's worth 20% of your grade, more on which later. And then the class culminates with a final that you take in December, which is another 30% of your grade. Both of these exams are take-home. They become available to you at some point, and you have like 2-3 days to complete it and load it up, okay? Although the test itself, if you sit down to take it, I don't think should take anything more than 60 minutes, 75 minutes, okay? And then finally, right, especially when we get to the second third of the class and the final third of the class, we have the weekly discussion posts. 4 of which are about a collection of articles that we discuss that relate to the topics that we talk about in this class. And in these discussion posts, you're going to answer a question or pick from 2 or 3 questions that I pose. You're going to post a discussion comment on our discussion post, and then reply to a classmate's post briefly, okay? So we're going to do these with the articles. There are 4 of those. And then there's 4 or 5. And then we have 4 about the 4 books that we do that come up every week at the end of this course, okay? That makes up 15% of your grades, each of these article and book discussion posts, and that sums up your whole course grade, okay? So here's the course grading criteria, which is pretty much like what we follow at CU Boulder. But I have to say, even though I post this, you know, my averages for this course historically has been a little bit below that. So during the course of the semester, I've oftentimes lowered this a little bit, curved it down, so that typically speaking, don't hold me accountable for this, but like 87 to 90 is an A minus, and above 90 ends up being an A. Sometimes I ended up going a little bit lower than that even. But formally, this is how we start, okay? If you get a 90 in this class or above, it's an A. Between 87 and a 90 is an A minus. And to get a B or B minus, the average, which is typically the average for a course like this, that's the range from 76 to 80. Okay, that's the way I'm going to grade individuals. So that's pretty much the syllabus, right? The key thing I should emphasize, you know, we're talking about a lot of history. We're talking a lot about conflict, the role of religion in conflict, or basically sustaining societies and stability and things like that. So this class, oftentimes for you subjectively, you may feel that it deals with sensitive topics. Be that as it may, this is a critical thinking and free expression class, okay? Because we have discussions and we're dealing with historical facts as we see them. And I expect everybody to abide by this, you know, respecting others' viewpoints, but also having the freedom to express what you view in terms of the material that we cover. That's just in way of expressing how the course is organized and how I conduct the course. You should know. And then finally, there's a very useful class schedule that I post here, PDF. Let's take a quick look at that, right? This is where you're going to find every module, every week, when that module becomes available to you, what are the graded assignments due and when they're due. Okay, so I would really strongly suggest you look at this. You know, sometimes there's a small typo here, which I try to fix, but right now this is updated for the fall semester. And this is where you're going to find every week what you may be working on, okay? So having said all that, I think I've given you the basics of this course that I, you know, enjoy supremely teaching. I've been doing this for many years, over a decade now, and partly because, like I said, it's a lot of the research that I focused on in the course of my time at CU, and part of my research on political economy and economics of religion, you know, are all covered in this class. And I think it's a very fruitful way of looking at human history from an economist's lens, especially one who's interested in economic development from a longer term perspective. So I'm always here, available whenever you have questions or comments. You know where to find me, and I will see you during this class, hopefully. Everybody be well, and I will see you later.